This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, are we unmuted?
It's not letting me turn my mic on, by the way.
Your mic's already on.
Oh, it's saying audio's off on mic. Sorry. Are we good?
Yeah, hang on, I gotta mute my computer. Now we're good.
Okay. I'm going to call the December 3rd Bethlehem Revitalization and Improvement Authority meeting to order. And the first order of business is roll call.
Ms. McHale?
Here.
Mr. Kelly?
Here.
Ms. Taggart?
Here.
Mr. Philippos?
Here.
Mr. Jobs?
Okay.
Mr. Andres?
Here.
Ms. Carner?
Here.
Denise is not here. Mr. Jones, yes. Mr. Chavon? Okay.
Thanks, Chris. Public comment. I don't see anybody from the public necessarily registered, but I just want to make sure. I don't see anybody, so we'll move on to approval of the minutes. Attached are the minutes from the October 15th, 2020 meeting we had. Any changes, amendments?
No, but I'll make
Questions?
a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion on the floor with a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Yeah, y'all received the treasurer's report. There's nothing I really want to comment on. If anyone has any questions, I'll either try to answer them or have Chris answer them. If not, I would just submit it as written.
Yeah, and I always ask you this, but should we move to accept that or should we just?
It's good practice to do so, but you're not
I'll
required to.
I'll accept the motion to approve the treasurer's report.
So moved.
I'll second. And all those in favor, say aye.
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 The ayes have it. And then we'll move on to old business, of which we have none. And now we'll go to new business, which is the meeting for the day and the Wilbur Mansion project. Seth, am I recognizing you first or John? I guess I'll turn it over to you. Alicia, do you have anything to say or should I turn it over to them
You can
first?
turn it over to them.
Okay, sorry. I apologize. Seth, I'll turn it over to you guys and then we'll have some questions, I'm sure, at some point.
Sure, and thanks for having the meeting this afternoon for my client. I think the purpose of this meeting is to basically authorize my client to proceed with the actual CRIZ financing and close that loan with the bank and with the help of Bria and its executive director. So I believe there's a resolution of Bria before Bria this afternoon. My client is here to answer any questions anyone has about the project. But that's basically the request is for Bria to move forward with that resolution and authorize us to actually go ahead and close the CRIZ financing with a pledge agreement and with documents acceptable to Bria.
We do have a copy of that resolution, Seth. If you don't mind, John, kind of going over the project and a little bit of the nuts and bolts. I know we saw this some time ago, but I think there's a couple new members on the board, so I think a review of what the project is and kind of what you're trying to do there would be great.
Okay, so we're taking the Wilbur Mansion, and we're actually in process right now of having the Masonic Temple come down. And what we'll be doing is adding about a 4,800 square foot, one-story addition on the back of it. And we're actually redoing the site work. It's a little over 4-acre site for everything. So over the next 3 to 4 months, we'll be doing the site work for the entire site. When we get done with the project, what we'll have is we'll have the historic Wilbur Mansion restored, and we'll have 9 hotel rooms in the upper 2 floors. On the first floor, we're going to have a lounge bar area, restaurant area, servicing 80 to 100 people. And then in the 4,800 square foot new addition, we're going to have a new commercial kitchen. We'll also have a catering kitchen downstairs in the basement, and that'll service about a 2,500 square foot flexible event space that actually will have glass doors on the front that roll out onto the patio. So there's almost 3,000 square feet of outdoor space between the mansion and the new event space. So actually, although it's a very weird time right now for restaurants, we feel really good because we're able to actually put in place some of the newer air handling systems. And we have almost 3,000 square feet of outdoor space, and even our indoor space with the, we've got almost 60 linear feet of glass walls that will be able to be opened. So our 2,500 square feet will also be able to be open too. So we're kind of thinking that although it's a terrible time, we're going to position ourselves at the end of next year. So we'll be on the cutting edge of this type of venue. Anyone have any questions?
I just want to know, Mr. Jobs is here, and then I will turn it over to the members first to have, if they have any questions for Mr. Noble. John?
Looking,
Okay.
I think
that's
I'm
right.
good.
Take your time.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mark.
So the financing proposals in here or proposals, have you firmed up your financing?
What we're waiting for is actually this action right now to continue the process. We already have a financing commitment from People Security.
Hey, John, I know you said the market was a little soft right now for restaurants for obvious reasons. Have you had some success in pitching to projects kind of with what you have in mind over there? Do you have some potential options or ideas of who might end up down there?
Well, it's not really a who, it's a what, because the restaurant is going to open, the event space is going to open, the hotels are going to open, and what's going to happen, and this may sound terrible, but what we're actually starting to see right now, because we're actually using Gecko Hospitality for headhunting and a lot of the employees that will be involved in this. We're seeing a lot of shakeout in the restaurant business. So there's actually becoming a fair bit of really good talent in the kitchen, in the hospitality, in the management. It's just, it's terrible to say, but out of this will come some really good talent. So I feel really comfortable where we're at now and not opening until, after November of next year.
And that would, you're kind of opening the whole project at the same time? I understand, because you're treating it as one.
Yeah, so we're gonna, everything, when we open, it will be done. We'll have the hotel rooms done, we'll have the restaurant done, the event space will done, the site will be done. This is a 4-acre site, so there is a 50 unit apartment that's going in the back.
Right.
That might not open until February, March of 2022.
Okay.
But we're really shooting for the end of, right in the beginning of November actually, so that we can get a little bit of the holiday season next year.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm anticipating, I feel really hopeful that the vaccine, that this whole scenario with the vaccines will kick in over the next 6 to 8 months. So we're literally going to be poised at almost a perfect point to open. And on top of that, we'll be in a position to really have a facility that will be about as safe as you can design in today's standards.
My only question is how much acreage have we dedicated to this project?
It's not acreage, it's square feet.
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me, but it was the building footprint itself.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head, John. I can get you that information, but I don't, it was tiny.
Okay, I heard 4 acres and I don't recall.
No, that was the entire site.
Yeah, gotcha.
Our CRIS designation is approximately 9,000 square feet.
Okay.
And Alicia, this came out of the RFP process,
Did,
if I
it
remember
did.
correctly?
Yeah, this was some of the property that we had decertified through the parking authority holdings. And if you recall, the city issued them for the new members. The city had issued an RFP probably in 2016.
Yeah.
At this point,
Time ago,
it was
yeah.
quite a few years ago, to come up with a couple of new projects and spread some of the wealth of the CRIS. And this was one of the, the projects. It's had a couple of iterations that have come before you guys over the years, but it's still a project we're very pleased with as the city, and are excited to see move forward at this point.
Alicia, I don't know if you have any questions or if there's anything you want to fill the board in before we kind of move on the project.
No, just as a friendly reminder to the board, I mean, we're the conduit financing position on this project, as we are with all of our CRIZ projects. The increment comes in once a year. We work with the bank to transfer those funds. At about this time of year, under my report, I'll talk a little bit about how that's transpired this year, which has been a little different because of COVID. But it's the normal circumstance that we've dealt with the other projects we financed.
Gotcha.
So John, I just had a question. You said something toward the end about a part of the project that's going to be delayed. Is it a residential piece, did I understand you say?
So the site is 4 acres, and there's a 50-unit apartment building that's going to be built along Cherokee Street in the back, which is on a separate parcel. So the driveway and the entrance into the actual Wilbur Mansion area is a separate driveway. So that will come down and that will be hopefully finished. So what we'll be doing is the site itself will be landscaped and finished, but literally to build a bigger building is just going to take a little bit longer time frame. So we'll be opening the mansion before we actually open up the apartments.
Okay, thank you.
Have you gone out to bid and firmed up all your numbers?
We're actually, the things we're actually redoing right now are stuff like your heating and air conditioning systems. But yeah, we have really actually pretty good numbers right now. That's why we've literally already started the demolition for the temple, and we're doing E&S out there already. Our site contractor is in place, and the site is fully fenced. So we've paid tapping fees, all of the park rec fees. Tomorrow we're going to give the letter of credit for all the site work. So we're going.
Good. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Timing of additional closing? Timing of closing anticipated?
It all depends on how the paperwork goes. I'm anticipating somewhere, hopefully not much later than the end of January into February.
Yeah, we have the benefit of working with the same bank that we've closed all of the other CRIZ loans that I've worked on this with the same counsel. And Bria has previously approved the forms of documents that we used in those transactions. I don't expect these to be a whole lot different, frankly. And so subject to negotiating some of the finer points of the pledge agreement, I think the loan portion of it should be fairly easy to get through.
Anything else? Alicia, you good? Do you guys have anything else to add? John or Seth?
I really appreciate you guys coming out here. This is a little challenging time though. Thank you.
All right, with that, we do have a proposed resolution that is before us. And this is fairly consistent with the resolutions we have used before, Alicia.
Actually, this is the first time we're using a resolution.
Okay.
We have historically just motioned the approval, and
Okay,
we kind of thought it was time for a little more formal
I got you.
action of the authority.
Okay. But consistent
I
with,
drafted it, and I think it's consistent with the actions you've taken in the
Okay.
past. It just formalizes what you've done in the past in the form of a resolution, I believe.
anybody have any questions about the resolution? I will accept a motion then to adopt the resolution of the Revitalization and Improvement Authority dated December 3rd, 2020, relating to the Wilbur Mansion project.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
You don't want me to read the entire
No.
resolution.
We'll be okay.
Here all night.
Yeah. Any discussion on the motion? With that, we'll call a roll.
Ms. McHale,
Yes.
Ms. Taggart,
Yes.
Mr. Philippos,
Yes.
Mr. Jobs,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes. Motion passes. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you coming out and good luck with your project. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Hey, thank you
Thanks
very
for-
much. And please watch what's going to go happen there, because this next year is going to be really cool.
Yeah, excellent.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks.
We'll be able to watch that project nice and slow as we sit on the Hill to Hill Bridge in traffic.
I had to take my sister up to the St. Luke's.
Yeah.
And I cut up Uncas Street and I saw the
No, yeah,
activity.
I'm excited about this one.
But
gonna be a good
it's
one.
nice to see activity going on some of these
Absolutely.
projects.
Yep.
Some of the other projects,
Yeah,
they're still,
yeah, we'll
There.
we'll get there. But yeah,
This may be good timing for them, sounds like.
I'm excited. All right, moving on, solicitors report, anything?
Nothing further.
Alicia, I know you said you had some stuff on the increment that came in.
So I just wanted to brief you, there was a document that went out yesterday in the packet regarding the 2019 cruise revenue that Chris had prepared. In total, we dispersed $528,029.15 to projects. We have a standard retainage of the 5% that's allocated as part of the legislation for administration of the authority. And you can see those figures before you. And then there's a little bit of money that remains, whether that's because we have increment that is generated as a result of a project that doesn't have a cooperation agreement, or because of the negotiations with some of the existing projects within the CRIZ. And so there's about $31,500, not exact numbers, but in that ballpark. And so I wanted to let you know that that was available. We have historically allocated that in March.
Yeah.
I think we're prepared to make a recommendation today if the board wants to entertain it. But that is what comes to the total amount of $588,935.61 that was wired from the Commonwealth.
Is there I'm sorry, is there a timeline limit in which we have to spend that?
Well, it's interesting because we
It's
have to
normal.
return any unspent funds before April 1st of each year.
Right,
And so historically, we have reserved some funding, paid bills into March.
right.
And the Commonwealth's never, called us on it. They never really said much to us about it. But if you look closely, we are supposed to expend our funding before December 31st of each year.
Yeah,
So-
and that, they didn't expect, I didn't know if they extended that, like they have done so many other
No,
things.
they waived it for
over.
Tamaqua, but unfortunately they haven't waived it for the city of Bethlehem
I
or
got you.
Lancaster. And so, I think it's something we all understand, the slow pace sometimes of the needs of an authority, of professional services, of, audit timing, things that are authorized use of funds. But historically, the remaining funds have gone into the new streetscaping project.
Yeah, that's, I was just gonna say, that's what we did a pretty heavy chunk of
That project was actually just, I think, put out to bid today.
Okay,
So that has been long planned. We have sought a number of funding sources for that project.
Yeah.
It's over $1 million just to do from the Fahey Bridge to Farrington Square. And we've had to, certainly pull out pieces of that project that we unfortunately couldn't afford. But as you may recall, the legislation allows us to put CRIZ increment in projects that are associated with CRIZ projects. And within the developer agreement with the third and new project, which is Gateway at Greenway, is the requirement of doing a portion of the new streetscaping project. So we can put additional funding that remains within that 2019 increment bucket within that project. So, I present that to the authority for consideration. It is coming in dribbles and drabs. I think we've probably directed anywhere between 70 or 80 and down to 30,000 over the last, this would be the third year of investing in that project.
So the city, the streetscape project, it's
Yeah.
100, very close to 150,000.
yeah, we did a big one. I thought we did like
We
100,000
did
that
106
first year.
2 years
whatever.
ago.
Yeah.
And last year was about 43.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
dwindling, but that's because more and more projects are under agreement,
Yeah.
frankly.
Well, I think that that's a great project, and I obviously think that that's something that, from an authority perspective, we've already invested in, and to help that project get across the finish line. I think that that's a good use of dollars. I'll leave it to the board if you want to, kind of think about it for a little bit, but I certainly would support that request. I think it makes a lot of sense, but I don't want to speak for anybody else.
If we wouldn't fund that project, what would be the next?
We'd return it to the Commonwealth.
Oh, yeah, okay. Not gonna be a lot of choices here.
All right, there's nothing else on the table?
There's nothing that we have. So right now the legislation is fairly restrictive, and we're always working to make changes to give us a broader opportunity to expend the extra CRIZ increments. But that's the only project that's an infrastructure project that is directly related to one of our CRIS projects that the city is doing. Everything else is usually bundled into the project for the developer. But because this is a longer span, it has got a lot of different ownership. That is along New Street. We've got a huge contribution from Lehigh. Senator Boscola has contributed or has helped with getting us additional funding for this stretch. It's a big project. And so we tried to give us every opportunity to capitalize on funds. So, as I said, building it into the developer agreement on that project really has strongly linked it to the CRIS. So we've not been able to do that on any others. We just haven't had the need in the same way.
Yeah, we haven't had a project that probably has hit the kind of infrastructure that New Street needs overall. Beyond the impact from that building, New Street needed to be cleaned up.
And the improvements are going to make it a much more pedestrian-friendly stretch. Lehigh is really interested in drawing those students down that corridor with improvements to Farrington Square that, in addition to the funds they're contributing to the infrastructure project, they'll be making. So it's really got all parties interested and involved to, we hit it at the right time, basically. Stars aligned.
Yeah. And I remember seeing a presentation on the wish list, and where did we wind up for the $1 million project? Like, what's actually gonna get done?
Oh boy, sidewalks, lighting, trees, pedestrian crosswalk for the greenway. Boy, what else? I think there's cantilever lights that are going in. I mean, it's going to look a lot different than it looks today.
And when is that going to start?
I think they released the bid documents today, actually. And so
Okay.
the expectation is going to start as soon as you can start construction in the spring.
Okay.
Certainly, it's going to be that match of what do the bids come in at? What do we have the funds for? That dance that always occurs.
Sure.
Public Works project.
Nice.
So it sounds like there's not a whole lot of discussion on this. I don't have an issue with it either. I certainly don't want to return it. And this is, a really good, worthwhile project. So I have no problem supporting it as well.
Likewise.
Okay, I'll accept the motion then to, I guess, remit that $31,000 to the city. Alicia, would that be the?
Actually, if you could give us the either or option of any remaining professional services, we have
Okay.
tried to get as many, it's that audit bill that we try to get them to invoice us in advance. It gets a little
Gotcha.
tricky
Okay.
sometimes,
Yeah.
but if we can get some of that paid for out of the 2019 increment, we would do that as well.
So
So
for-
if the motion could address both the New
Right.
Street streetscaping and any professional services,
Sure.
pertaining to the authority, that'd be great.
I will accept such a motion. If somebody wants to make a motion to remit those funds for use for professional service fees incurred or for the city streetscape project along New Street.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Ayes have it. Motion passes. Alicia, do you think just on this particular matter, do you think it's worthwhile to spend some time maybe in the next 6 months looking and identifying some potential projects that would come down the pike for use of additional revenue with the idea that, it's going to become a little bit more active?
Well,
And I
the
understand.
mayor's already, publicly talked about a number of projects
Yep.
he'd like to see the CRIS support.
Yeah.
Including additional lighting on the south side. We've done a lighting master
Yeah.
plan, and it's not necessarily about replacing lights as much as it is sometimes refractors and making things more pedestrian friendly.
Yeah.
It's not a lighting issue in this category. It's
Right.
the wrong kind of lighting.
Yeah.
And so we've got that project. We've got a whole Christmas lights master plan that we're
Yeah.
still looking for ways to fund. So there are a number of projects, if given a little bit more latitude,
Yeah.
with CRIS increment that the city would be
It might be
anxious to fund.
worthwhile, maybe at one of these meetings, in the meeting that we go through those, like, do we just became a little bit aware of what those plans entail so that we can kind of put them in the back of our minds as
Sure.
it becomes available? Might be worth a presentation on both those or at some point in time at a future meeting.
Yeah, and that would, and that would be good also to have the update of where we are with some of those amendments, Joe.
Yeah.
From the Senate's perspective.
Yep.
Has there been any discussion on any possible architectural lighting on any of the bridges?
We had done an architectural lighting plan, we as the city, probably what, 2005,
Yeah.
2008?
Yeah, that's some time
And,
ago,
you know, a
yeah.
lot of churches, steeples, storefronts. I'm not sure the bridges were included in that.
Think so.
You don't think so either?
I don't remember the bridges being included in that.
PennDOT's always a little difficult when you're architecturally lighting their property.
So my thought was from the bases upwards.
Upwards, yeah, it might be a little different.
So
at that
again,
point,
I've seen it in various cities
Yeah.
where you can really, and I think, steel stacks and what they did there is a great example of some of the things you could do. And I
Sure.
think,
Sure.
again, as we make this more pedestrian friendly, that'll really give you, it's not that expensive and give you a nice impact from
Yeah.
a visual.
Yeah, we can certainly consider that. I think that train trestle coming across the river too would be pretty cool as you're coming across the hill-to-hill
Yeah,
bridge.
There's some
You know,
great
there's,
bridge spans with lots of space to
Sure.
do some.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just put that off into a future,
What we need is the
future
money.
meeting.
So that's why we gotta plan ahead.
I think the city would consider that a luxury item at this point and probably not willing to tackle it in the year of COVID, Mark. But we can talk about that
I hear
offline.
you. I don't think it's that expensive, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't either. Either is a pedestrian bridge study, but you should see the conversation around that right
That's,
now.
go there. That's a big ticket item.
Yeah,
Lighting is,
Not the study.
is that, I'm sorry, anything else, Alicia?
I have
don't mean
nothing
to cut
else
you off.
under executive director report, other than we certainly won't meet at our next
January
regularly
7th.
scheduled meeting. I didn't even put it on this list.
Okay.
I put January 7th as our normal meeting date for the beginning of the new year. We have not advertised those meetings, but we intend to advertise
Okay.
once at the beginning of the year for the first and third Thursday, as we typically do,
Sure.
and then only meet as needed.
Okay, sounds good.
And I guess the only other thing is, I think, John, you were reappointed to the authority at the most recent meeting.
I
so
was.
Congratulations.
I was a little
John.
disappointed that there was a celebration for me.
Without any fanfare.
Close.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
celebrate at the Wilbur Mansion.
All right, with that, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right,